Hello there everyone, and welcome once again to these reflections coming from Killin Parish Manse. Let's begin with an affirmation related to our candle. The light of the world has come. Jesus is the light of the world. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness will never overcome it. Amen. Well, during the week, I attended a funeral down in Edinburgh of someone who was a member of one of my former churches. His name was Frank Batten. And it was good to see members of that congregation again. In a sense, every church family is different and unique, full of wonderful individuals, and it's been my privilege and pleasure to be a minister, firstly, of the church in Newdeer in Buchan, and then in Dice in Aberdeen, and then St Martin's down in Edinburgh, and of course now up here, a minister at Balquhidder and also Killin and Ardeonaig parish churches. Special people in each and every one of them. Frank was a great guy. Frank used to take me to Easter Road because I'm a die-hard high B as well, and we used to sit together through all the matches. So when I heard of his death, obviously I was saddened. But the service was wonderful and uplifting. But at the very end, they were playing Sunshine on Leith, which is the great anthem, football anthem for Hibs fans. It's a song written by the Proclaimers. And I've always loved that song because it's very powerful. And of course, on YouTube, you can see Hibs fans singing it, particularly when they've won something, which is not very often, and it's sung with incredible passion, and it's a very emotional song. But for me, I've always found it a spiritual song too. The Proclaimers, there's something about their music that for me links in very much with spirituality. But poetry is like that, language is like that. Every noun describes something, every verb paints a picture, and every written text can have various resonances with people who read it on a whole variety of levels. And after the funeral, in fact the days since, I've been listening to that song quite a lot, and again looking at the words, and for me they resonate very much with my faith, and I want to use that today for this meditation. The first verse of course talks about, the song is on three different levels for me. Firstly, it's a football anthem. Secondly, it's a love song about a relationship. And then thirdly, for me, it's a spiritual journey. So the first verse begins, "My heart was broken. Sorrow, sorrow. My heart was broken." And in a sense, here's the sad part. And then it moves to, "You saw it, you claimed it, you touched it, you saved it." Now, obviously that's in relation to someone in a loving relationship. But isn't that powerful? A broken heart, you saw it, you claimed it, you touched it, you saved it. As a Christian, that immediately resonates with me, that's how God sees the human condition. That's how God sees you and me. The last few weeks we've been looking at some of the great words in Romans by the Apostle Paul. And certainly in so many ways in Romans chapter 8, say verses 28 to 32, that's a wonderful passage, right? Take a note of that. Romans 8, 28 to 32. And there's a sense there of what God has done. God knows us. He's chosen us. He's redeemed us. And he will glorify us. The whole action in that passage is what God has done. He sees us, he knows us, he claims us, he chooses us, he calls us, and he has redeemed us. The action of God. So in a sense, for me, this first verse in Sunshine of Leith is about the grace of another person towards us in love. And for me, that resonates so much with what the New Testament says about the God who comes to us in Jesus Christ. It's about grace. The next verse, "My tears are drying. Thank you. Thank you. My tears are drying. Your beauty and kindness made tears clear my blindness. Oh, the power of word. That's very clever. Your beauty and kindness made tears clear my blindness. In Hosea chapter 2 verse 15, there's a wonderful verse about God saying to the people of Israel, I will make the valley of Achor, which translated means the place of trouble, the valley of Achor, into the door of hope, or the gateway of hope. The transformation of trouble and sorrow into the gateway of hope. But the beauty of the song here, it says, your beauty and kindness made tears clear my blindness. Sometimes it takes the downside of life, the suffering, even the tears, to suddenly make us see clearly. That's the paradox. And that's beautifully encapsulated in this verse in Sunshine on Leith. Your beauty and kindness made tears clear my blindness. Have there been times when we've been struggling and in that struggle encountered God and we saw things in a much clearer way, in a more wonderful way? So this verse to me is about hope. The first verse was about grace. And as a result of that grace, there's hope. Then the third verse, which is wonderful. While I'm worth my room on this earth, I will be with you. What a wonderful thought. Are you and I worthy of our room on this earth? I came across a quotation a while ago which said, if you're not living on the edge, you're taking up too much room. It's one of these great little aphorisms that really make you think. In other words, is our time in life worthwhile? Are we making the most of the time we are taking up here in this place? What are we doing with our lives? So the Proclaimer's song, while I'm worth my room on this earth, I will be with you. Let's have a wee think about that this coming week. What are we doing with this life that God has given us? The song goes on, while the chief puts sunshine on Leith, I'll thank him for his work, for your birth and for my birth. While the chief puts sunshine on Leith. Now, of course, if you're a football fan, you're thinking about it in the terms of Hibs. But for me, the chief is the Lord that I worship. And his grace is the sunshine that makes life worth living. And while he shines that grace upon us, our response to him has to be one of gratitude. And this third verse is about gratitude. Romans 12:1. Paul has been talking for 11 chapters about what God has done for us. Great story of the gospel. And then he says, therefore, and he goes on to talk about our response to that gratitude. Therefore, because of God's great mercy to us, we are to offer our bodies as a living sacrifice, which is a great phrase, a living sacrifice, because normally a sacrifice is a dead sacrifice in the ancient world. But we're to offer, it's a metaphor, it's a symbolism. We offer our bodies as a living sacrifice, our bodies. In other words, who we are, rooted in the concrete now. And that's the response to God's grace towards us and the hope that we have in him. Our response can't just be, oh, thanks very much, and then we go on with our life. Because this song is a love song, and the scriptures are in a sense a love song too. God's love for us, for God so loved the world, he gave his only son. It's a love song. God and us. And God saves us for a purpose. He knows us, he loves us, but our response has to be real. So while I'm worth my room on this earth, let's think about that. And let's thank God for his work, what he has done. And also let's thank each other for what we all mean to each other. Thank Him for your birth and my birth. This week, let's think of all the people who make a difference in our life and thank them that they're alive, that God has used them and continues to use them in our lives. To be thankful for the grace that is all around us. To thank God that we are part of a family. Yes, even those of us watching this online, we may be spread apart. We may not even know each other. But I've said before, in some ways, we're a family. Now, let's hope that as things open up and we're able to attend church, that we will all do so. Just as football fans will slowly start to get back to supporting their team, because that's needed. The fans are needed. Without the fans, football is nothing. Without members attending the church is nothing. Frank Batten was a special guy. He was a devout Christian. He was a solid member of the Church of St Martin's in Edinburgh, but he was a die-hard Hibs fan too. And it was my pleasure to know him. And I have used his life as an inspiration, along with the song, the Hibs song, for this reflections today, because it brings it in to the human element, the human dimension, that as we go through life and the things that matter to us, how they can all fit together, the jigsaw pieces can fit together to say something important. So Frank, if you're listening, this was for you. And to all of you who have been listening, thank you so much for tuning in. There will be a song link, and it's not Sunshine and Leith. You can look that up yourself on YouTube. But this is the modern version of The Lord's My Shepherd, because that is what surely God's people's anthem down throughout the ages, written in Hebrew centuries and centuries ago. In fact, thousands of years ago, and it's still relevant today. So click on it after this reflection and listen to these great words as we as a family of faith journey forward into the future. Thank you for watching and listening, and may God's grace be with you this coming week. Amen.